Evolution is filled with mysteries. While fossils provide evidence, there are still missing pieces that represent millions of years of development.
Inside Lehman's Daisha Harold introduces us to the scientific process aimed at filling in those critical gaps.
This is what paleontology is all about. Small details matter in this dig in Senez, France, that seeks to uncover the past by unearthing remnants of ancient and often extinct forms of life. While it is interesting to know about the recovery of fossils, there can be challenges in figuring out what ancient relatives may have looked like. Professor Eric Delson specializes in the research of human history and what are believed to be our early primate relatives.
We're looking at ways to try to understand variation and change through time, or evolution. And that's all evolution really is just change in a structure through time.
What about the fossils connecting the timeline from millions of years ago to more modern forms of life? Many of them remain undiscovered. Professor Delson, chair of the Lehman College Department of Anthropology, heads up a project to figure this out.
This is a project which allows us to try to reconstruct what ancestors might have looked like when we know the living forms. We can trace our way backward from living primates to what their ancestors might have looked like.
This is where computer technology helps. Scientists are able to mark reference points on an ancient skull and then compare it to similar points on a more modern sample.
If I measure the distance across the eyes, the distance between the eyes, the height of the face, the distance across the brows, the length of the skull, they're just distances. It doesn't tell me as much about the shape of the whole skull because each distance is separate. With geometric morphometrics, what we do is choose a bunch of points on the skull and locate their three-dimensional position in space. We can then build a model which just draws lines between those points, and then we can compare those models from one kind of animal to another.
Other components of the project include work by students and a printer, but not your normal office printer. Instead of ink, it uses plastic.
What we can do with an image such as this is that we can actually physically print it out. So we've gone from living animals that we've scanned in, using a laser scan, we've scanned in their skulls, we've worked out what the ancestors look like, we've calculated it, we've created a model, we've visualized it here using this software, and then finally with the machine behind me, we've actually able to print it out.
The machine sprays hard plastic around a soft inner material that can then be washed away when the model is complete.
Working with bones all the time, you do wonder what some of the skeletons would look like if they were complete. And this machine enables us to make models of those missing types of specimens, and we can actually visualize in 3D what it would actually look like.
The level of detail in the 3D models is very high. It can take up to 16 hours to produce an object depending on its size. For researchers, it's worth the wait as they work to shine a spotlight on some of the hidden secrets of our world's ancient past. Daisha Harold, Inside Lehman.